There are hundreds of dog breeds in the world. The American Kennel Club currently recognizes about 200, which is less than half of the upper estimate of total breeds there are in the world at the moment. How could anyone expect someone to choose one breed from hundreds when making the decision of which one to add to their family? It's perfectly understandable to feel overwhelmed. Or maybe you already know what breed you want because it's cool or really popular right now. Maybe you like the athleticism, the beauty, the expression, the aura. But let's remember that choosing the right breed for you isn't just about looks. And more importantly, it isn't just about you. It's about your lifestyle, your family, your expectations, and the people your dog may encounter on a day to day basis. But let's keep the dog's well being in mind, first and foremost. It's important that we set our wants aside and focus more on our future companion when looking for a new puppy to add to the family. I myself am guilty of absolutely fiending after a certain breed because I saw how awesome they were at performance shows. These dogs were wall climbing like 12 feet. They were long jumping 15 feet. They were weight pulling. They were cut. They were lean. They were so, so cool. And I wanted to do all that. I wanted to compete with my cool, badass dog. But I knew deep down I wouldn't do it. I had to be honest with myself. My idea of an ideal weekend is chilling on the couch watching TV. A dog like this, they require a lot of exercise, a lot of conditioning, special diets. So even though my heart was set on it, and I had even chosen a bloodline and found a breeder I really liked, I had to think realistically. There was no way I would be able to provide the consistent and demanding needs of such an elite, athletic, working line dog, especially to keep it in competition form. Luckily for me, there was another option, an offshoot of this breed that was bred specifically for companionship, to just be a cool, chill dog that just loves their people, a dog that would be perfectly content just spending the weekend on the couch watching TV with me. It's not the easiest thing in the world to be honest with yourself, especially when it involves admitting that you're pretty lazy. But I am so happy I went with the breed I went with, and I don't have some high drive, high energy working dog tearing my house apart right now because two 15-minute walks a day are just not enough for him. A dog that is a poor fit for your home can quickly become destructive, aggressive, bored, disobedient, anxious, flighty, and more. Not to mention, it's extremely stressful for you as the owner. Many times when purebred dogs end up in shelters, it's because the dog just wasn't a good fit for whatever reason. No one suffers more from this than the dog. Once the dog becomes too much to handle, they get dumped in shelters and rescues. So please be honest with yourself, be honest with your breeder, and do the right thing if you suddenly realize this dog is not a good fit for you, and return the dog to its breeder. It's not easy for some people to admit they made a mistake or that they can't handle their dog, but please do right by your dog who didn't ask to be put in this situation. When it comes to dog breeds, there is something you really need to think about. These breeds have been bred for sometimes hundreds or even thousands of years to behave a certain way. When choosing your breed, you need to recognize something called biological fulfillment. This is breed specific enrichment and takes your dog's ancestral genetics into mind in order to properly fulfill its natural instincts. By achieving your dog's needs for what it was originally designed to do, you can prevent boredom, which in turn prevents unwanted behaviors, reduces anxiety, and satisfies your dog's needs both physically and mentally. If you want to go on a hike every weekend, maybe don't expect that from an English bulldog. If you live in a small apartment in the city, a Great Pyrenees probably isn't going to be a great fit. If you frequently have guests over or service people, just lots of strangers coming and going from the property, maybe don't get a chow chow. Things like that are important to consider. This is an important decision. This is a living animal you will ideally have for its entire life. I just want to go through some things to contemplate when making this choice. First things first, the size of your home and property should be taken into consideration. Remember that a dog's size is not necessarily something that factors into your space limitations. Great Danes can be very large dogs, but for the most part, they're fairly low energy and don't require as much space as you may think. Meanwhile, a border collie may only weigh like 30 pounds, but would not be satisfied in a small house with a tiny yard. Pent up energy can quickly manifest into nuisance barking, destructive chewing, digging, anxiety, pacing. A fenced in yard can be a great way to keep a higher energy dog mentally stimulated between walks if needed, but that still might not be enough for some dogs. A 3-mile walk every day could satiate a dog's physical needs, but more intelligent breeds also require mental exercise as well. Another thing to consider, a home or apartment complex with multiple stairs, slick floors, and too confined of a space can cause orthopedic issues in some breeds. Something else is noise. The last thing you want to do is cause disturbances when your dog barks, thunders across the floors, or plays too rough and disturbs your neighbors. Be considerate of this if you live in a more high density area and you share walls, floors, or fences. A vocal breed like a beagle might not be the best choice for this environment when it bays all night in the yard and keeps people awake. You can, of course, somewhat make up for a lack of space by dedicating time for multiple walks, visits to the park, and indoor entertainment like playing and puzzles and long lasting chew treats. Just know that it'll take a lot more effort to keep a cattle dog satisfied in an apartment than a chihuahua. But if you're dedicated to it and have the time, then go for it. The next thing is something that I'm sure people definitely think about, seeing as how popular certain dogs are right now. But shedding. How much hair are you willing to deal with? Grooming as well. How much time are you dedicated to grooming your dog at home? How much are you willing to spend on professional grooming or your own grooming supplies if you plan on grooming your dog yourself? Some dogs require a little more than just a wipe down during shedding season. Others may need to be brushed every single day. Make absolutely sure you know what you're getting into because dogs that end up neglected often suffer unnecessarily when they get matted. I'm pretty shocked when I see people posting their complaints online about how their groomer shaved their dog bald. And the before photos that they show of the dog is clearly completely matted. There are also broken coated breeds or wire hair breeds with a harsh, non shedding outer coat that needs to be stripped and carded, which can be quite laborious, and not many professional groomers offer coat stripping services. If you want, you can clip your wire haired dog, but this causes a lot of damage and eventually it ruins the coat. I wasn't expecting my own dog, who has short hair, to require so much grooming because it's not just about the coat. My dog has folds and wrinkles I have to clean every day. I have to wipe her down. I have to clean her butt. So it's not just the long haired dogs you have to worry about. Some breeds are predisposed to periodontal disease and you need to keep their teeth clean. Heavy jowled, drooling breeds require a lot of maintenance sometimes. Dogs with heavy, close lying, floppy ears need their ears cleaned religiously to avoid infection. Some dogs are just a lot more work than others. Just remember this when choosing your future dog. I feel like this is a good segue into my next point, and that is your schedule. How often are you at home? How long are you away at work? How long will your dog be home alone? Do you have the time to devote to a dog, to meet all of its needs, to properly care for it, exercise it, socialize it, train it? Are you getting a puppy? Are you getting an adult dog that doesn't require a whole lot of your time? I used to work 10-hour shifts, and my commute was often well over an hour. If my shift ran a little long, I was sometimes away from home for up to 14 hours. As badly as I wanted a dog at the time, can you imagine how miserable that dog would have been? For your owner to be away from home for half the day, then spends the other half sleeping because she's exhausted. It would have been really selfish of me to have a dog at that time. Once I had a better schedule, I was confident that I could bring a puppy into the home and raise it myself. Getting a puppy is a lot like getting a baby. They cry at night, they get into everything, they put everything in their mouth, they poop and pee a lot. They can't hold their bladder like an adult dog. And with the addition of throwing up like a baby, you're going to be cleaning very frequently, even after a long, exhausting day at work when all you want to do is go to bed. And if you think you're up for that, then great. If not, this may not be the best time to try and raise a puppy. Temperament is something else you really need to acknowledge. This is something that can't always be reliably looked up. It's something you would greatly benefit from asking someone in the breed or someone that has owned several individuals from the breed. Dog shows happen all over the country all the time. It's fairly easy to find out where and when they are, travel to one, and actually meet the breed and the breeders that you're interested in. Keep in mind that temperament and personality are different. For the most part, all dogs of the same breed should have roughly the same temperament, but personality is unique to the individual animal. For me personally, I like a stoic dog, a dog that's confident and knows how to relax and isn't a tightly wound bundle of nerves and full of anxiety. Nothing bothers me more than when I'm trying to focus or work or relax and my dog is pacing the house and whining about God knows what because he's anxious for no reason. It irritates me. I want a dog that will happily sleep next to my chair or at my feet. A nervous, anxious dog is also more likely to be a nuisance barker who has to let the whole neighborhood know that there are leaves blowing down the sidewalk. Dogs constantly on high alert, like shepherds, border collies, Aussies, and the like, tend to exhibit higher instances of anxiety. But what if you don't need a guardian breed? Should your dog be wary of strangers? Or would you rather have a family dog who loves everyone that walks through the door and wants to be everybody's bestest buddy? Maybe you want a dog that is initially suspicious of strangers but warms up to them eventually. There are also some breeds who decide who their favorite person in the world is, and good luck, everybody else. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, Chow Chows were really popular, and my parents got one. Shortly after that, they got pregnant with me. Chows aren't usually the friendliest dogs. A lot of people who have worked with them often describe them with one word: unpredictable, because they often snap without warning. Needless to say, shortly after our Chow bit me in the face, we had to rehome him. A few years later, we were at a show scouting some potential breeders for a line of Dobermans we wanted to start when my dad saw the American Akita and was quite enamored. When he approached a breeder to ask about the dog, she immediately noticed me and said she never sold dogs to people with small children. Let this be an eye opener for anyone with young children or thinking of starting a family after you get your dog. Make sure you get a breed with a good temperament for small children. And if you have smaller animals or other dogs, same thing. Just be smart about this and make responsible choices. Some dogs have a really high prey drive and don't always respond appropriately to small children running around and screaming in the yard. You can, of course, try to train your dog how to behave appropriately in certain situations, but that can be very challenging if the behavior you're trying to discourage conflicts with the dog's natural instincts, like trying to convince a bloodhound not to track a deer 13 miles into the woods, or a border collie not to nip people's heels, or a greyhound not to tear off after that rabbit in the yard. Sometimes it's better to just try to avoid the breeds whose natural bred in instincts are incompatible with what you're looking for in a dog. I personally really love a biddable dog, a Velcro dog, a dog that thinks their people are their whole world. These dogs tend to be much more trainable. My dog also has great recall. I can have her off leash without a problem because she never strays more than 15 feet from me at the absolute most. She loves us and wants to constantly be with us wherever we are. She is friendly with strangers, but we are definitely her people. I love dogs like this, but not everyone does. These traits I really enjoy are the same ones that some people find to be incredibly annoying. The dog constantly needs attention, they're always underfoot, they need to be touching you at all times. They may bark or huff at you if, God forbid, you're not looking at them. Some people like dogs that have a certain independent streak. Maybe they don't listen to you 100% of the time. Maybe they're a little sassy, they talk back. They don't come back to you when called, at least not right away. They're independent, they're free spirited, they have a what's in it for me mindset. Some might even call them stubborn, but I try to avoid that word. It's a little too negative and anthropomorphic for me. I like to call it intellectual disobedience. Some breeds were intentionally bred to be this way because they had to be. Breeds developed to watch over their owner's property, for instance, were supposed to be independent and capable of making executive decisions without human intervention. Nordic sledding breeds were bred to use their own better judgment when traversing the dangerous frozen tundras to circumvent treacherous conditions, even if it was against their musher's commands. These breeds tend to be a little less biddable and much more autonomous. If this is something you like, you're a match made in heaven. If not, then you're going to butt heads with your dog in a way neither of you are going to enjoy. Speaking of Nordic breeds, another thing you should consider is climate. I live in an area where the summers are hot and humid, with temperatures regularly reaching into the hundreds. But our winters are also pretty cold, with lows in the single digits and wind chills into the negatives. When my family stopped breeding Dobermans, they absolutely fell in love with Siberian Huskies. I mean, who wouldn't? They're absolutely gorgeous. Before I knew it, we had 3 breeding pairs that we were showing and titling again. We didn't breed very many litters and eventually decided to stop breeding dogs altogether. But in that time, we also saw how unfair it was to have huskies in our area. It was just way too hot for them in the summer. Double coated Spitz type breeds can struggle in the American South with our hotter temperatures and high humidity. Some people keep their double coated dogs shaved in the summer, but I personally strongly disagree with shaving double coated dogs. Brachycephalic breeds, dogs with short muzzles, also tend to really struggle in hot and humid weather. Thin skinned and thin coated breeds like greyhounds also probably wouldn't do particularly well in extremely cold climates. Obviously, you can elect to just keep these dogs indoors when the weather doesn't suit them, but dogs still require potty time and regular exercise. Just try to make the right decision by the dog when taking your climate into account before deciding on a breed. Next, from the tiny Chihuahua to the giant Irish Wolfhound. Dogs come in a wide variety of sizes. Some people love small dogs. Some prefer a larger dog. I personally prefer medium sized dogs. Whatever you decide, here are some things to influence your choice. Something to consider would be your financial situation. The bigger the dog, the more it eats. How much can you put aside every month to feed a 200-pound Mastiff? If you can't afford it, maybe consider a smaller dog. Veterinary care on large dogs is also more expensive, where things such as anesthesia and medication doses are involved. Also, some grooming salons charge their services based on the weight of the dog. Make sure you're financially prepared for this if your large breed dog requires professional grooming. Furthermore, who will be primarily walking the dog? Even the most well behaved dog can spook and bolt. Will the person on the other end of the leash be able to control a frightened Great Dane? Are you okay with a wagging tail clearing your coffee table? Excited zoomies knocking over your kids? A dog that's not super easy to transport? What about people constantly comparing your dog to a horse? That's just a joke, a very old joke. But small dogs also present their own problems. A lot of them live forever. Are you financially ready to care for an elderly dog for several years? They can also be fragile. Are your small children properly educated on how to handle a toy breed? Can you afford the vet bills in the event your dog breaks its leg jumping off the couch? Be prepared to take extra special care of their teeth as well, or pay to have them all extracted later. Just several things to take into account. This seems like a good transition into my next and final point. Considering health when choosing a breed. I hate to say it, but some breeds are really suffering right now. Some just seem inherently unhealthy and are really in trouble with a lack of genetic diversity and serious health issues, affecting a shocking percentage of the breed. My own junior handler breed, the sleek and regal Doberman Pinscher, is sadly so heavily affected by DCM, or dilated cardiomyopathy, that some are considering the breed unsavable without significant outcrossing. My own chosen breed has heart issues, hip dysplasia, elbow dysplasia, luxating patellas, and progressive retinal atrophy, all of which my breeder tests for. But when health issues are so prevalent in a breed, they're pretty difficult to fully avoid. Just scrutinize this when choosing a breed. Some are not the healthiest, but others are very hardy and long lived, with very few serious health concerns. The choice is up to you. Just prepare yourself accordingly with lots of research, an emergency fund, and pet insurance, if applicable. Online, you may find a few little quizzes you can fill out that'll match you to a breed that best fits your needs. I often find these quizzes to be pretty lacking in their questions, but it could be a good place to start. And as much as I hate to endorse AI chatbots like Gemini, ChatGPT, and Grok, they're all fairly decent options for feeding a lot of information into to get some suggestions for the right dog breed for you. So, if there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it's that there is no objectively best dog breed. There is only the breed that's best for you, your lifestyle, your family, your expectations, and the kind of life you can realistically provide. Don't choose the dog that looks the coolest on social media. Don't choose a dog just because everybody else has one. Don't choose a breed because you think you'll magically become the kind of person that runs 10 miles every morning. Keep it realistic. Choose the dog whose needs already match the life you live. When you do that, everyone wins. You'll have a happier dog, you'll have a better relationship with your dog, and you'll be far less likely to become overwhelmed and end up regretting your decision. Your dog only gets one life. Make sure it's the right one. As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, consider liking, subscribing, and let me know down in the comments what breed you have or what breed you think is the perfect fit for your lifestyle. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.